Hello and welcome to this video. Now, in this particular tutorial, I'm going to quickly teach you how you can make clipping videos. Now, what do I mean by clipping videos? It's taking specific movies and then extracting clips from those movies, mainly the viral, the best clips, using a frame like this one, for example. This is a frame I created for Sonic, and attached in the video description right after not the video description, but attached in the resources, I have added like the prompt. If you don't find the prompt that will help you generate these particular frames right here, then just contact me and I'll send you the prompt. Okay, I'll send you the prompt via message. Now here is an example of a frame for John Wick. If you want to clip John Wick movies, we'll do a bunch of others just so that the idea sinks in. But the bottom line is you use this, you clip a part from a movie, you put that part right here, and then the last part is we edit in CapCut because we must add music for these to go viral. And for the most part, Canva will not allow you to add viral music into your videos inside of Canva because Canva is completely against copyright music. You can't add music in Canva if it's copyrighted. But with shorts, if the video is under 60 seconds, you can add a copyright music like funk music, which is mainly what we're going to focus on for this tutorial. And funk or Brazilian funk music is what goes with these particular types of videos. Now let's get into it. First of all, I would like to show you the prompt that can make this possible. So the prompt, as I said, is attached. Resources, you can find it, or you can pause the screen right here and take a screenshot of this prompt. So here, this one is for John Wick, but since I already shown you an example of what a John Wick frame would look like, let's actually make the shift. Now, let's say, for example, that you want to start making scenes for Game of Thrones, okay? And you want to clip Game of Thrones, the series, and you want to make some clips. So for example, right here, these fields can be edited. So instead of John Wick, you can say Game of Thrones. All right. And then here, instead of this, I can remove it with a neon glow. Directly below the title is a 16 banner with the text reading, again, Game of Thrones. So I'm just going to edit kind of the series here. I'm going to say a small red subscribe button with a mouse cursor floating next to the text. The center of the image is dominated by a large solid line rectangle chroma key screen. Here I could say, okay. All right, floating next to the. Okay, so he chroma key. Instead of 4 guns, like I could say like 4 swords are floating the corner with the green screen. And the background is a vibrant At the bottom, there is high CGI render of, and here you can choose the character. So, for example, if you're into Tyrion Lannister, you could make Tyrion Lannister be like the main guy behind. And of course, you can do this for multiple movies, not just for Game of Thrones. Now, you can either generate the image using ChatGPT by using DALL-E, or you can go to Google Gemini, for instance, and you can use the Pro Gemini Nano Banana, and it will create an equally good image. Now, that image is very important because it's what you're going to use as the base. That base is what you will use to edit, okay? And I'll show you how you can make the frame into a solid template with movable objects instead of just an image with no movable objects, okay? This is an example of a Sonic frame. Now, in canva.com, I shall start a project. And because we're making shorts, this should be a 9x16. So I'm going to go for a custom size of a 9x16 inches. And then here, again, 9x16. create a new design. In the meantime, I could go check on the results. Now, notice that this is pretty good already in and of itself. Now, the Game of Thrones text is in blue, but if you want to, you could you could say something like with a neon, uh, not glossy blue, but glossy golden or glossy red, for example. And then if I edit, it will proceed to generate the new one. Now over here, it seems like ChatGPT didn't work at generating the image at all because I think I should have just clicked the create image option instead, and I should just click the submit request. But to be honest with you, Google Gemini has already done the trick. But if you want to do this for free, you can do it with ChatGPT using this method that I've taught you right here, and it should do a pretty good job. Now, it seems like the Game of Thrones, the red Game of Thrones text is not so very good. And also, there's something I can edit about the prompt. So instead of red, glossy, golden, here, rectangular, a red neon rectangular banner reading. Instead of a Game of Thrones, I could say subscribe. All right, and I could remove this part and just put with a mouse cursor floating near the text. This is much better because there should be no reason to mention Game of Thrones twice. Now here is the ChatGPT version of things. It's not so bad, but I think I'm gonna take the Gemini version here. Okay. I think it did a pretty good job. Now, of course, you can clip multiple movies. There's not just or series, and it's not just Game of Thrones. For example, Stranger Things is one of very, very popular series out there. So we can just make like a frame for it if you wish to clip it. All right. So for example, this is what this turned out to be. Now Tyrion looks like he's 3D, but if you want to not make him 3D, like you could click here and instead of a CGI 3D render, a CGI realistic render of Tyrion Lannister, and then we can edit again, in which case it will proceed on right now to generate like a realistic Tyrion instead of just a 3D CGI. Now, in the meantime, you could call this file whatever you like to call it. So if you want to make like clipping for multiple movies at the same time, multiple series at the same time, you could call this file clipping frames. Okay. If I was you, I would recommend that you clip one series at a time or pick one series that you are very, very, very into, or a series that you might have just started watching. That can help a lot. Now, let me just give you an example here. I know a creator on YouTube. I think he's probably like right now above 30K subscribers. And this particular creator, he's clipping a particular series. So it's a mobster guy. So it's a African American mobster dude. I like him a lot. Now let me just give me a moment to remember. Bumpy Johnson. Okay, so Bumpy Johnson. I think if I search this, he's gonna be like the first one of the first guys that pop up in the shorts. All right, let me just search this up. Bumpy Johnson, Bumpy Johnson. His name was it doesn't really. Yeah, there he is. His name is Tahmid. Okay, so as you can see, is already above 32,000 subscribers. And what this guy has been doing, he's actually been clipping these particular videos. All right. But he's doing it in a way that's very simple. So he's not really using a frame or anything. But what he did essentially was he's taken the most popular clips of this series, Bumpy Johnson. It's called The Godfather of Harlem, and so far has above 122,000 views, which is equal to like $12,000 in terms of profit that he probably took home, easy peasy. And he's doing all this while he's having fun. watching his favorite series that he loves so much. But this worked because he basically concentrated on only one series, which brought in the subscribers and brought in the views. And by the way, these types of channels usually continue to grow to, bigger and bigger levels. I'm not going to be surprised if this guy would probably like reach a billion views in the next year. Okay, so that's not going to be a surprise for me at all. But when you concentrate your efforts on one series, you can make a pretty good you can get a pretty good audience, okay? As long as you concentrate on it. So next series you start watching, maybe you need to start clipping it instead. So assuming that this, for example, you want to start doing Game of Thrones, I will copy this right here in Canva. And what I will do simply is I'll just go ahead and expand this like so until I fill the frame. Okay. Now, here's the thing, if you want to make this responsive, you could easily do it. But let's start editing this to make it like a responsive frame. First of all, using the magic eraser, I'm going to get rid of this Nano Banana or Google Gemini logo right there. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click and I would like to extract the subscribe button. Okay, so I'm going to like to click on the magic grab tool and let me see if I can click the subscribe button. It doesn't seem like I can. So instead, what I'm going to do, since I can select Tyrion, I will select Tyrion because I need to make Tyrion a, should I call it, a separate frame or a separate layer. Now that Tyrion is a separate layer, I could just like make it like this and that's it. So he's a separate layer that I can move however I like. And now next thing, I'm going to select those swords. All right, so let me select the swords. It gives me access to do that, so that's pretty cool. After selecting the swords, I can select the subscribe button or probably just remove it and replace it with like a new one. Now, as far as the swords are concerned, now they are like a part that I can move. They are now moving. I can move them however I wish. And I can actually, quite frankly, just make it like so or like so. It's however you really want to do it. And then I'm going to click again. Now, let me try magically grabbing the subscribe button. Hopefully it... all right, so I can grab it right now. So slowly but surely, you're grabbing things. And next, I'm going to grab that green screen there. So first of all, I would like to make the subscribe button a bit smaller and place it right here. Now, if you want, you can click the subscribe button and actually animate it in a sense, making it like a cool animation, like a pulse animation. And instead of, having this pulse animation be very intense, you can reduce the intensity so that the subscribe button is kind of moving, but not so much to the point where it annoys the viewer. All right. You don't want it to move like so much because if you increase the intensity, it'll start moving like that and it will just stop the viewer from being able to kind of concentrate on their favorite series. Now, next thing to pick is, of course, I'm going to pick that green screen there because that's where my video is going to go. But it seems like I cannot click it. So I'm going to have to click the brush. But to be honest with you, I don't really need to. I'm going to leave it right there. I don't really need to control that green screen. Now, as I said, in case you want to do this for like a different movie or like a different series, all you need to do is to modify the prompt. Now here, instead of like Game of Thrones, you could add like the name of the series, Stranger Things. And like I said, I'm gonna make sure that you get this prompt. You can find it in the resources of the video. Now here, if I copy this Stranger Things, I'm gonna paste it, whatever there is a mention of Game of Thrones. It seems there's only one mention of Game of Thrones. And then here, instead of Tyrion, 11 from Stranger Things. 11 is basically Miley Bobby Brown. She's like the main character, all right, the hero. And you can know this by just looking at the pictures of the movie. Now, as you can see, this time it didn't do a fantastic job, and I'll tell you why. Is because I didn't have the pro version activated that time. So let me try to go to a new chat here, and I'm going to activate the pro version, click on create image, and then I shall paste this and hit submit. There's also plenty of channels that are only concentrated on Game of Thrones. There's channels only concentrated on some other famous series. All right. So it's really up to you. If you're watching Netflix, I think you can turn it into like a career. All right. So here it seems like it didn't want to cooperate for this one, but it's okay. You know, we have one frame for Game of Thrones that will suffice. So let's concentrate on that. Now, in the meantime, how can you go about doing business? Now, first of all, you can go like Game of Thrones. You can get like a great scene of Game of Thrones. Tyrion slaps Joffrey, for example, that moment where Tyrion like slaps Joffrey. And in order for you to get that scene, like to kind of download it, there are multiple ways to go about this, but I will prefer, first of all, clicking on a particular video on YouTube, and then you could click on the URL of the video and copy the URL. Then you can head to Google and you can search for like YouTube video downloader. I have one that is called Social Plug that I'm using, but there's plenty of YouTube video downloaders out there. Now, I would recommend that when you download the video, that you download it at a very high quality size. So I'm going to click on get the video. And right here, I'm going to go for 720p. I want to make sure I get the perfect resolution. All right, I think that my video is already downloaded. So once your video is downloaded, you can go back to your Canva project and you just need to drag and drop that particular video. Pause the video because I don't want to hear anything. And I just want to make sure I scale this video to hide that green area. And then here again, so it hides the green areas. That's pretty cool. I want to make sure I do it surgically. So I'm going to have to zoom in to see all the detail. And I see that I've hidden it perfectly. And this should now go in a position behind pretty much everything, even Tyrion. So you can see that Tyrion's head is above. So it's kind of looks pretty cool. If you want, you can also do this trick. So you can select like your video and you can give it like a stroke of a white stroke like this, for example, to kind of make it look like that's a video for people that are watching. And then because we're doing shorts, so it should be under like 60 seconds, there's an option here which is called like the it gives you access to like, select or auto.
My mother's been looking for you.
So it will
You're
just
right for King's
focus
Landing today.
on trimming like the parts that are
Before you go,
the most important. I'm just gonna test it and see if it does a pretty fine job. But it seems like it didn't do a pretty good job because it only trimmed like 13.5 seconds, which I don't like. So I'm not gonna click done on this one. I don't like it. I'm gonna edit and I'm gonna do my own. So here again, let me go to position because I'm not selecting my video. This is my video. I'm gonna
Well, it
click.
means nothing to me. I can't stand the wailing of women.
Well, that's a pretty good trim, but I think I'm gonna add to it. Okay, I'm gonna add a little more right up until this point. That's
Well, it
good.
means nothing to me.
And now I can click done. So now another thing you could do as well to a scene is in terms of the layer, go back and then you can edit it. You can edit it by auto adjusting the colors of that scene. All right. Now they kind of reduce the contrast a lot, which I don't have a problem with, but I'm gonna add some saturation and some vibrance, and I'm also probably gonna go and add like some other stuff. Let me see. It doesn't seem like I can add the things like There's a very important feature which is called sharpness and clarity. I don't seem to be able to do this here, but I have the video upscaler nonetheless in Canva. Let me see if it doesn't require any tokens. All right, it seems like it requires like some stuff, so I'm not going to use that. But assuming that you're done with this clip, now the only thing that's left really is to add music to it. But first, let's watch this. You can't add
The floor
music.
means nothing
You
to me.
can't add music inside of Canva because for the most part, Canva will reject it due to the copyright issues. But notice that subscribe button moving. The scene is great. We have Tyrion here. It gives the vibes that this is a Game of Thrones short.
The floor means nothing to me. I can't stand the wailing of women.
This is an iconic moment, by the way,
One
in
word,
the
and
series.
I'll hit you again.
I'm telling Mother.
Go. Tell her. But first you will get to Lord and Lady Stark, and you will fall on your knees in front of them and tell them how very sorry you are, that you are at their service and that all your prayers are with them. Do you understand?
You can't.
Do you understand?
The prince will remember that, little lord.
Hope so. If he forgets, be a good dog and remind him.
All right, so now once you're done with this scene, there's also a bit that you can still do, which I'm going to show you in a minute, but I think I'm going to have to sort something out here. Position. I have to hide a little bit of a green area there. Let me zoom in again. I think everything is hidden. And now you can, if I download this, for example, which I'm going to do, first let me give it a title. Tyrion slaps Prince Joffrey. So if you'd like to document like all your favorite scenes from Game of Thrones, just know that you can turn that into a business. I'm going to download this at a full HD. Now, here, for instance, if you go like Game of Thrones, Joffrey, or Tyrion slaps Joffrey, just as for the sake of the example, okay? If you search, for instance, in the shorts, just notice like how many views you can get. Like this one has 3.5 million, 6.2 million, 2.1 million, 8.2 million, 3.8 million, 1.4, 2.1. So there's a lot of views for shorts. Okay, and I've seen even more impressive views like this one, 8.8 million, 3.6 million. Right? So there's just a lot of views, right? Especially I think with like a beautifully done frame like that. People would most likely subscribe just because of the fact that this channel gives off the vibes that this is dedicated completely to Game of Thrones. And so therefore if they sign up, then they will sign up just to see more scenes of Game of Thrones. And your job as a clipper is to clip the best scenes into one channel where all the fans can find a congregation of their favorite Game of Thrones scenes. But what you need to add to this is, and what I forgot to mention, music. Again, you can't add music in Canva because music, for the most part, is copyright. So, for instance, if you go and search Brazil funk, there is a lot of Brazilian funk music that is ultra famous. All right, so you can see that this is 200 million views. Quite frankly, any video that has Brazilian funk music can get a lot of views. Like this one, like 5.2 million football video, just because it has Brazilian funk, it can go viral. You can basically just take any video, put Brazilian funk in it, and it will go viral. Like this one is 12 million, even though it's not really a very impressive video. All right. So when you choose your Brazilian funk music, you can apply that to your video, assuming you have downloaded the video, which I did. So now that I have my video, next, CapCut. CapCut is going to come in for me to add the pretty much, what you call it, the music. You can also use CapCut if you want to apply some special effects. But let me show you. So if you go to CapCut, you can create a project. Since our frame is already already a 16 by 9, not this one. I'm talking about. You can see how slow CapCut is. Quite frankly, if you want to, you can just upload that video directly. But CapCut has a stack of other benefits.
Boy means nothing to me. I can't stand the.
Like apart from just adding music, you can also add captions, which I'm gonna quickly touch upon that. But first, it seems like CapCut is has closed for some reason. Let me open it again. All right, so here we go. If I click create a project, I should be able to start my project. And now there's just not a lot left really to do. So first and foremost, I will let CapCut lag a bit. Then this is my scene, so I shall drag and drop it directly into the CapCut, not just the upload section, but I'm going to drag and drop it in uh, immediately or directly into the frame. Video that we're doing is not generally a very complex one, so it doesn't take any skill whatsoever. All right, so here's the video. Now I'm just gonna have to apply some simple edits to it. All right. So I have a lot of Brazilian funk music in my computer that I can utilize. I just have to go and grab some of these sounds. Like here, I have Amor no Praia, Andromeda, Aura, Blast Tracks. All right, I'm gonna use this one because it's epic, and it's pretty good because it's exactly the size of the video, so that's quite nice. I think I'm just gonna probably slow it a bit down, or maybe cut the last bit because it's really not even necessary. All right, so having all right, so next, all I have to do is like I said, drag the music, and if you want to, you can go and add some more extra things like auto adjusting the particular video quality, and you can use the captions option here, which gives you access to captioning your video. Like for example, here if I auto adjust, it's gonna look a little better. I can also go down and add like some sharpness and saturation to the video by sharpening or extra sharpening this. The spoken caption, you should select the language. The language in this video is English, so therefore